Hey ladies and gentlemen, Stephen here from Redolessence. Welcome back to another video. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And in today's episode, we're going to be comparing the most recent batch of Sedley by Parfums de Marly with the initial batch, which came out in the summer of 2019. So make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin the video, I do want to mention that if you like this type of content, please do consider subscribing to this channel to support it. All you need to do is click that red button in the corner and also make sure to enable bell notifications so that this way, whenever I do upload a future fragrance related video, it will get delivered straight to your feed. So let's go ahead and get started. Here I have the 2019 version of Sedley. This one actually came out in the summer of 2019. I was at the launch event. I actually hosted the launch event with my friend Carlos Powell from the channel Brooklyn Fragrance Lover, and the perfumer Olivier Cresp was there as well. He and I spent a very long time chatting with one another. Both he and I actually got there quite early. I interviewed him for my channel. I'm going to leave a link to that video down below. He had me smell most of the raw materials that went into creating this fragrance, and we had a really nice long chat. He even signed a couple bottles for me, which were Noah by Cacharel and also Angel by Thierry Mugler for my mother. So I really do appreciate what he did for me. And here we have the 2020 version, which is said to be a stronger version of Sedley, and I have actually spent a nice bit of time with both of them, so I know what the answer is, if it is actually stronger and what's really going on here. The first thing that I want to discuss is I know my good friend Carlos actually did a video with Yvonne Jacqueline, who is the managing director for Parfums de Marly. Yvonne is a fantastic guy. He and I are close friends. You know, every time we meet up in person, it's always like, you know, we're best friends that haven't seen each other for a few years. And I know in that video where he was being interviewed by my friend Carlos, he mentioned that the reason why this one is stronger is because it's been left to macerate for a longer time. Now, one thing that I think all people should know is that when the fragrance is done being made, you have the oil and then you need to compound it with the alcohol. Once you mix the two, you actually need to let the product sit for a significant amount of time. Some companies let it sit for a month, some companies let it sit for 6 weeks, some companies let it sit for 2 or 3 months. And the longer you let it sit, the longer it macerates, the stronger it becomes. Now, when you're very eager to release a fragrance, you'll notice that in that first batch, when people are buying it and spraying it on, they'll see that it's not lasting as long as they want it to, right? Because it hasn't macerated fully. And I'm not necessarily saying that that is what's happening here. I don't think that that's the case because I got pretty decent longevity from Sedley when I first acquired it. But a few other things need to be taken into consideration here. One thing that is responsible for strengthening a fragrance, believe it or not, is oxygen. When you look at my bottle here and you see that it's about 75 to 80% full, what is filling up that remaining 25 to 30%? Oxygen. And the oxygen is really strengthening the rest of the fragrance. And so when I have this bottle here from 2019, this fragrance is quite strong the way it is. One, because it's from the initial batch, so it's the very first batch that they ever produced. And if you are ever in question of that, you'll know that it has a pressurized atomizer. That usually signifies that it's part of the original batch. And then as you can see with the newer bottle, they reverted to their older atomizer. And so if you did purchase that at the store and you're not sure which batch you got, you can kind of tell it's a very simple method to determine which is which. But I love wearing the original one. This one, released in 2019, it lasts about 6 hours on my skin. The longevity is not the greatest, but I have found that in the past few months since I've been wearing it, and I actually pulled it back out now that it's spring again, of course, I noticed that although it's not necessarily lasting longer than it used to, I can notice it more on myself when I spray it on. And that's something that this new iteration of Sedley does right away, which is good. I actually spent 2 days wearing this one, and then I spent another 2 days wearing the new one, which, as you can see, I didn't really put a dent in it because I've worn it only 2 times. And what I can say is that the experience that I had was quite the same. So my thought process here is, if this is just the batch that's been left longer to macerate, then it should be from the same compound that is in here, right? You're essentially getting the same thing, because if it's left a year to macerate, and I acquired this, maybe 9-10 months ago, then we should be looking at the same exact formula in both of them. And I have reached out to the company and they have confirmed that there has not been a reformulation. So if you're smelling it thinking, oh, is the new one gonna smell a little bit different? It doesn't smell different. It's the same exact smell that you're gonna get in the original. You're also gonna get in the 2020 version. But the fact that it's been sitting there and it's been left to macerate is actually going to make the fragrance that much stronger. So when I sprayed this on, again, I got about a solid 6 hours, and it's been quite warm here in northern New Jersey where I live, but I've noticed that even in the 3rd or 4th hour, I can still get whiffs of it, whether I'm smelling my shirt or I bring my arm up to my face, I'm still able to perceive that it's there, that it's on my skin. And so although the longevity isn't necessarily improved, the projection is improved, and just that overall sense of being able to acknowledge or smell that it's there has been improved, and it's been amplified with this newest iteration of Sedley. I was actually on the phone with my friend Gary about a week ago or so, maybe 5-6 days ago, and he was interested in purchasing this fragrance. And he said to me, should I buy the new one? Should I look in the Facebook groups for the old one? And I told him, honestly, there's no difference. Don't even think about it. Don't worry about it. Now, here's the caveat. If you own the original from 2019 and you haven't put as much of a dent in your bottle as I have, you might not have the same exact longevity. So I think the fact that there is oxygen in my bottle, that's also contributing to the fact that this one is a little bit stronger. And these are words that I've actually received from a couple of different perfumers, one of them being Francis Kirkjohn. I actually attended a master class in Paramus, New Jersey at Garden State Plaza several years ago when he was promoting Baccarat Rouge when it first came out. And when I attended this masterclass, these are the words that came out of his mouth. He said the fact that there's oxygen in there is going to, 1, make the fragrance go bad, but 2, it's going to make the fragrance stronger. And I do find that to be the case with this one. I think it's a little bit stronger than when I first got it. But if I'm comparing the way that it is here with the way that it's here, I get tantamount performance and longevity and projection from both of them. So I hope that that helps to dispel any sort of concerns or worries or thoughts or apprehensions that you may have had. Don't worry, Sedley is Sedley. Go out there, buy it, enjoy it, spray it on, indulge in its citrus, minty aroma. I think it's a wonderful scent. I think Olivier Cresp did a really, really good job with this one. It's a super unique fragrance, which I really enjoy. And I'm a fan of many mint dominant fragrances. Montfresh by Healy is among my favorites. Aquadecima by Eau d'Italie. Of course, there's also Green Lion by Hermetica. It's just one of these ingredients that I love. 1861 Renaissance by Xerjoff. And so Sedley is another one of these mint-based fragrances that I can't get enough of. I'm happy to now have 2 bottles in my collection, because I do suspect that if this is about 80% full, by the end of spring, it's going to be about 60% full. So I'm really happy that I have a backup. And it might actually be good measure to spray it a few times and leave a little bit of gap of oxygen in there. Maybe if I come back to this one in 2021 or something, it'll be that much stronger, but we'll see. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my assessment and my ramblings on Sedley by Parfums de Marly. I truly do find them both to be quite the same, and the smell is exactly the same. The performance for both was the same. But what I will say is, if you're buying it now versus buying it in 2019, you'll notice that it's stronger now than it was in 2019. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I hope you took something of value from this video. If you are new to this channel and you did take something of value, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. All you got to do is click that red button in the corner, and this way, whenever I do upload future fragrance related content, it will get delivered straight to your feed. You never need to worry about missing any of my future uploads. Thanks again for watching. Love you all. See you next time. Bye.